Hello, legends. This is Seb, and welcome to the one and only Footy Podcast, Episode 1.
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty, mighty Hawks. We love our God.
Flaghawk, get on the bandwagon. So today, I'll be reviewing the week that it has been, round 13 of the AFL season. And just breaking down the results and my opinions and my predictions for next week's games, which starts, or this week's games, round 14, which starts on Friday. So we're going to go all the way back to Thursday, when Adelaide hosted Richmond in the Adelaide Oval. And Richmond won by 8 points, which is quite unexpected because Adelaide was obvious favourites because Richmond are missing half the team and Richmond won one game to this point. So they got their second win against Adelaide Crows, which the expectations this year was for Adelaide to be pushing for the 8 like they did last year. But they'll be very disappointing this year. Very poo-poo. And they let Richmond get out to like a 25 point lead at some point. It was ridiculous. Like, Adelaide, what are you doing here at home? You're the favourites. Last week you were donkey doo-doo. So, win a game, you know. So they lost unexpectedly, and this is the round of upsets. And then on Friday we had Western Bulldogs hosting Brisbane at the Marvel Stadium, and Brisbane won, which everyone thought Western Bulldogs would win, because Brisbane have been in shocking form, bottom of the ladder all year, started 0-4, have barely won any games, lost to Hawthorn 2 weeks ago, they lose to everyone nearly. And Western Bulldogs came off a good win against Collingwood at Marvel last week, so you think they can beat Collingwood, they can beat Brisbane, yes? No, they lost to Brisbane by 43. Ridiculous, really. It was close at some point, but I watched this game, but then Brisbane just blew them out, blew their back out. It's like, come on, bro. And Hipwood had 6 goals, had a great game. Lachie Neale tore the midfielder shreds 38-2. Bontempelli got tagged. He still kicked 3 goals, but he got tagged real good by Jared Berry. What's the Bulldogs? Yeah, I don't know. Hugo Hagen went missing. They have injuries too, obviously. Like, their team was just so mid on Friday. I expected better. Like, they couldn't, because usually Hugo Hagen goes really well at Marvel Stadium, and then it helps Sam Darcy was suspended too. But usually the Western Bulldogs play pretty well at Marvel when you thought they'd win. But no. Brisbane played pretty well at Marvel too, but Western Bulldogs, they're home, and they got the home crowd and all that stuff. And you beat Collingwood, and then you just couldn't follow it up. But do you want to play finals? Do Brisbane want to play finals? Both these teams are like on the edge. I don't know if either of these two will even make it, because they're so inconsistent. They lose home games, they win away games. I don't know. Hawthorn beat both these chumps. Hawthorn are better. See? We're better. Then we had Saturday, the main attraction, close game. Hawthorn hosting GWS at University of Tasmania Stadium in Launceston. Hawthorn got up by 6. I watched that game. Hawthorn, bunch of legends. They were kicked 2 goals to half time, and then after half time they just kicked into 6th gear and finished with 13 goals. And GWS had a nice lead, about 20-point lead at some point, and then they just squandered it. And then Hawthorn won the 3rd game in a row, and now Hawthorn are 12th. 6 wins, 7 losses. They won 6 of their last 8. They started 0-5, and there's randomly miraculous comeback of the year. Just miraculously up the ladder. Will Day comes back. Mitchell Lewis is injured. A lot of injuries and all this stuff, and still they were zoom up the ladder. And GWS, opposite, started 5-0. Now we're like 7-6. I think 7-5, 7-6. So they've only won 2 of the last 7 or 8 games. So come on. GWS a good team too. Toby Green, no impact. Jesse Hogan, no impact. Hawthorn's accuracy could have helped them had a higher score, but still, at least they won. Marvio Chol, 2 goals was good. Day was good. Day was good. Newcomb was good. Cal Shadir was good. Nice balanced team, really. Hardwick is always good. Sicily, good. And the controversy, Hawthorn won because of the late free kick. Sicily kicking the ball, gets hit in the head. Of course it's a free kick. Come on, man. GWS wouldn't have won anyway. If that goal didn't happen, Bruce kicking the goal, would have been a draw anyway. So GWS really had no chance of winning. But you can cry about it, really. I don't care. From a non-biased perspective, it was a free kick. Guy kicks the ball, you whack him once the ball's come off the boot. With you hitting him, made the kick go out of bounds. If you didn't hit him, the ball would have got inside 50. And it could have been spoiled into a goal, spoiled into a behind. You know? People can cry about umpiring, but can't really blame umpiring when your team kicks less goals and your team falls asleep after half time. And then you had, the barn burner. 16th place Eagles, 18th place North Melbourne. Ooh, shame I didn't watch this game. I only watched the last quarter. North Melbourne were up big at 1.33. I looked, I was like, Jesus. And then in the last quarter, Eagles came back, got the lead, and then sort of a dubious free kick. But still, and then North Melbourne kicked 2 goals after that. So in the end, North Melbourne won. No one expected that anyway. It's in Perth too, Optus Stadium on a Saturday. Come on, man. You know? Eagles fans talking like, oh, we're so good. And, oh, Harley Reid, we miss him. It's one player. One player don't do the whole team. You had Waterman back as well. You're the better team. North Melbourne won a game since last year, and you lose to that in your home city. Like, come on. Big crowd too, because Eagles fans, a lot of fans, but just the team just sucks, man. Like 74-65, what type of score is that? Like, Eagles play so boring, North Melbourne play so boring, defensive, low scoring, small, slow ball movement. This is why the Eagles lost to St Kilda Optus all those weeks ago. The slow ball movement, you know? And then there aren't that many injuries either. So they've got old players and young players aren't that good. This is the Eagles. And Harley Reid's one guy. He doesn't make up the whole team. He makes the team better, but he shouldn't be the one that gets you wins. First year player. But hey, what can you do? None of these teams are pushing that finals either, so who would watch that game? But at least Hawthorn are pushing the finals, and GWS are like 7th. No, GWS are 8th. So, you know. I don't really care about the games that, like, it means nothing. Eagles or Melbourne, the game means nothing. It means draft picks. It doesn't mean you're going for the 8 or finals or any consequences. So I don't think I don't think Eagles cared to win anyway, because what are they doing if they win? Lower draft pick. If you win less, higher draft pick. I don't think they think about that, but what are the Eagles really benefiting of winning? But their season is definitely over. Both the teams are over, so yeah. Then the last game on Saturday, this was also interesting. St Kilda hosting Gold Coast at Marvel Stadium. The Gold Coast, they can't win an away game ever, even though they beat Essendon at home. They can beat a good team like Essendon at home, but they can't win away. And again, they lost to St Kilda by 3 points away. With another dubious free kick that the AFL said that wasn't there, because there's some interesting flopping going on with St Kilda. We're just getting them free kicks, but the score was 51-48. It was so like low scoring, and like lucky I didn't watch that one either. But as a St Kilda fan and a Gold Coast fan, you watch that crap, you go, our teams can barely kick 7 goals. You know, it's like, phew, what a boring. Boring. Guess what? St Kilda's defensive doesn't work because you're still 15th place or 14th place and you won like 4 games this year. And all this defense, Russ line, defense. And defense didn't win you nothing in the finals last year. So they never changed the game plan. Ross line, just one trick. Defense. They don't like to attack. They have the forwards. They have King. They have Membry. It's like, nah. And Gold Coast, I don't know what they were doing. They were getting picked up in the defense. That's why they were just like, oh, we can't do anything. We can't move the ball. But Gold Coast have the ability to score a lot. St Kilda just don't, because they just prefer defense. And defense doesn't win premierships. Attack and defense win premierships. Look at Collingwood last year, scoring nearly 100 every game. St Kilda scores like 65, 70 a game. Not going to win you nothing, really. So back to the draft for you, St Kilda and Gold Coast pushing the 8. If they don't win an away game, they won't make the 8. They will get close. But if they win away, they got North Melbourne away soon, and like they got Eagles away. So if they can't win one of those games, I don't know what to say. They haven't won an away game since round 10 last year. It's crazy. You can be so good home, so bad away. I don't know. Oi, dog, what are you doing? Say hello to the camera. What are you eating? What are you eating? And then we go to Sunday. Starting off with a game I saw the last quarter, most of the last quarter at least. Sydney Sydney hosting Geelong at the SCG. And Geelong were up 35 points at one point. Sydney didn't kick a goal the first quarter, and just after that, the game, Sydney just got a nice comeback. And then at halftime, it was basically a draw. Sydney was up by a few points. And then the fourth quarter, which I watched, Sydney were up still 20 points. Geelong got up to 12. In the last 5-6 minutes, Sydney just went bang, bang, bang. 3 goals, 30 points. Warner kicked the goal, Goulden kicked the goal, Papley kicked the goal. Within the last 4 minutes, and the lead went from 12 back to 30. And Sydney wins by 30. Sydney, the clear top team of the year. 11 wins, 1 loss. It's pretty crazy. They've only lost to Richmond. You think about it, Richmond was the only team that troubled them. And Sydney won games by good margins. Their percent is nearly 150. It's pretty high percentage. Pretty unseen in the last few years. 150 is quite high. It's sort of like Geelong's 2022 percentage is quite high. And Sydney are the clear number 1 team in the competition, and between that there's a gap. And Geelong, they were the number 1 team, 7-0 at one point, and then since that they won 1 game and dropped, I think, 5. So I think they're 8-5. So they went from they're 5th now. They're only 5th because the teams around them keep losing. If the teams around them were stronger, they'll be lower. If they keep dropping games, they're going to go lower, and they'll probably keep themselves in the 8, maybe the 4. They're a good enough team to keep in the 4th, but Hawkins doesn't do much anymore. Jeremy Cameron doesn't kick goals anymore because they play him up higher. So what can Geelong do to win games? I don't know. They won the premiership 2 years ago. Last year they made the final, so it's hard to know how good they are this year. But even in Geelong, they're losing games. To GWS, they lost in Geelong. They lost to Port Adelaide in Geelong, and they're barely losing Geelong. So don't know how they're going to finish this year, but I'd say top 4, top 5, top 6. We'll see. They're very inconsistent. Like you start 7-0, and then you go 1-5. It's like not that good. And Sydney should finish top 2 this year. The way they're playing, even if they drop some games, they should still finish top 2. They're like 2.5 games, 3 games from 2nd place on the ladder. So easily 1st or 2nd this year. If they finish 3rd, it'd be pretty crazy. You got to lose a lot of games in the last half of the year. But the way they're playing, they should have Brownlow medalists, all Australians. At least make the grand final the way they're playing. You're that standout team by far this year. But we'll see, I guess. We will see. And then the last game on Sunday, massive blockbuster. The Mackay Cup, Essendon hosting Carlton, the MCG, 88,000 people. And I expected the game to be a little bit more closer. But in the end, Carlton wins by 26. And Essendon couldn't kick straight, and Essendon... Besides the 3rd quarter, Essendon's pressure wasn't that good. They didn't play well. Because I watched this game, and Carlton just... 1st quarter, they got a few goals, got the lead out to a little bit. 2nd quarter, same thing. 3rd quarter, Essendon dominated the quarter, but couldn't put it on the scoreboard. And then 4th quarter, Carlton just went bang, 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 bang. Game over, win. Because they barely kicked it behind. I think they kicked 15 goals 6, and Essendon kicked like 12, 13, 14 behind. It's like, man. And so Carlton moved up to 2nd, and Essendon are now 3rd, where Essendon been 2nd or 3rd most of the year. Essendon dropped their last 2, and they just can't beat a top 8 team. And like, they're pretty pretenders. This is why no one believes in them. They haven't won a final in like 20 years. I'm not an Essendon hater or anything, but they haven't won a final in 20 years. Or they'll make the 8, maybe top 5, top 6, but they're not top 4 quality team unless the teams around them lose and they lose, and they'll stay in the top 4. Because this year is quite an even season. If you're taking out Sydney and probably Carlton, you still got 2 spots up to grabs in the top 4 from like between GWS, Geelong, Essendon, Freo probably. You have all those teams competing for it. So it is an even season. So Essendon could finish top 4, but they don't really deserve to be top 4. Because the only good team they've been is really GWS, but they've lost to a lot of good teams. So I don't know. We'll see what but they've got a hard fixture coming up. So we'll see, I guess. We'll see what happens. They can sustain. Sorry, my dog's licking my hand. Wait, dog, what you doing? And then on Monday, which was yesterday, we had the King's birthday clash between Collingwood and Melbourne. And Collingwood was hosting Melbourne MCG, and they had 84,000 people, blue beans everywhere. Collingwood just controlled the game, the whole game really. But then the 1st quarter they kicked 2 or 3 goals quite quickly, and then after that, it was like that no one really scored. Melbourne keeping behind. And it's the whole story of the game. Collingwood just would go quiet for a little bit. Melbourne's pressure would be good, and then Collingwood would just go bang, coast to coast, bang, goals, making Stephen May look cooked. Petrarca again hitting the ribs was a pretty big point in the game, and he just came back on the field like nothing, but he was struggling, and then he got subbed out. He's their best player, and Melbourne have a lot of like players they shouldn't, like Petty's in the forward line, shouldn't be there. They got Turner's in the forward line, shouldn't be there. The forward line is quite like, they don't do much, they don't score much, they kick a lot of behinds, they average maybe 8-9 goals a game. Like, they're not a high scoring team, and they used to be. Like, they're more focused on defence compared to Collingwood. And Collingwood's defence and attack, and Melbourne just slow ball movement, doesn't win your games. They won a premiership 3 years ago, but they were playing fast then. Now they just don't play fast. And they say, oh, because we lost Luke Jackson. One player, man. And Clayton Oliver's just, him and Viney are not doing much in the midfield. Petrarca is the only one standing up in the midfield. Just, I don't know what's happened to the team. It's such a big regress when you lose by 90 points in Alice Spring last week to Freo. And then this week you can't, like, you back it up with a crappy performance, and you told your supporters that you're going to win and you're going to give more effort, and you lose by nearly 40. And you can't kick straight 2 weeks in a row. You barely kick any goals. And this one, you kicked so many behinds, you could have won. Bailey Fritz did nothing. Cosy Pickett, Van Rooyen was the only one that really did anything. And you're missing easy shot of goals too. And then Collingwood, this guy Nathan Kruger barely played. Kicks 3 goals here. Him and Darcy Cameron kick crazy goals on the boundary. Like, come on. Dacos kicks a goal from 50 like nothing. He got tagged to hell when he can still kick a goal from 50 over 2 guys. And what did Melbourne have? They will Melbourne even make the top 8 at this point? Collingwood will finish probably top 6, 7. Depends on their injury list. If everyone comes back, they could challenge top 4. But there are other strong teams around, so they have a chance to go back to back. I wouldn't say it's high, but... And Melbourne keep losing, they won't make the top 8. They have a chance, obviously, but... I don't really trust them, the way they score. Petrarca's going to be out 6, 7, 8 weeks. Forward line can't do nothing. Without Jake Lever, they're really bad in defence. They I don't know what they're defending really. Like, Stephen May's blowing and puffing like he's never defended before. He's chasing Hoskin Elliott around like a dog. And he was blowing and puffing. He was getting outmarked by Hoskin Elliott. I was like, come on, man. This team's defence is not that good without Jake Lever. And still, it's one player. And every team has injury, so you can't really blame 1 or 2 players. With Collingwood, they have like 7 premiership players out, and they're still beating teams. They've lost 1 game since round 4. Like they were 0-3 at one point, and now they've won like 7 games, 1 draw, 1 loss the last 9. Like, Jesus, man. Shows you what team's hungry and what team's not. But they just won the premiership, and they're still, this year, they started slow, and then they just came back, beating everyone. Not convincingly, but their last year didn't beat anyone convincingly either. They still won the grand final. So they're the king of the close games. But I think, like, the Sydney and Carlton are the top 2 teams. They're the top 2 standouts in the season. It's Carlton, like, Kerner and Mackay are, like, a great forward line. You got good defenders and Wietering. You got a good midfield in Walsh and Cripps, and you have people like Elijah Hollands who just bop up. You have people like Durden and Always, and you have Zach Williams randomly kicking goals. You got De Koning, who's a beast in the ruck, who dominated against Essendon. They got stars everywhere, really. It's a good team. Good team, Carlton. Kono's an animal. He kicks 2 goals every game, every single game this year. He's kicked multiple goals. And he gets the free kicks, but people hold him because they're scared about his athleticism, his leaping ability. And he's a great on-field, he's a great field kick. He marks it 50 out, bullet pass to the guy running to the square, like all the time. So many goal assists. He loves to play on. He's a good player, very good player. Reminds me of Jeremy Cameron, like good field kick, good goal kick. Very good player, one of the best players. Easily All-Australian, very, very easily. But then the Coleman again, could win a Coleman 3 in 3 years. No one's done that since Gary Ablett Senior, since the 90s, so be a big feat. This is my dog. Say woof woof. And yeah. That is basically it. See you later.